Nothing like going live.
Ooh.
9 p.m. on a Saturday night while hooking everything up rapidly fast. All right, my phone is synced. We can now call in guests, and we would love to hear where you're at if you're tuning in. If you want to throw in the comment section where you're listening from, that'd be awesome. Assuming most of you will be KC oriented. Moving my camera. All right, so we have all just got off a video chat not long ago before we decided let's do a live episode tonight. We were shocked to see that Kansas City has announced a shutdown, and we are going to essentials only for 30 days. A lot of us are asking questions like, is this constitutional? Do we have to do this? Appears they've also said that they're going to do what'd they say? $500 fine, up to 6 months in jail, and
yeah, I just recently heard that.
There was something else they had along with it. $500 fine, 6 months. Oh, it's a misdemeanor. So I heard somebody else say, "Hey, that's 6 months of free food and toilet paper, more than I can say I have now." So we're gonna love to hear guys' comments. If you have any questions, we'll kind of discuss it. We're gonna be calling in a manager from Family Tree Nursery. We're going to be pulling in Thou Mayest, Bo Nelson, and we're also going to be calling in maybe some Bay Boy specialty sandwiches, just getting perspective from others who have their own small businesses here in KC. So again, if you are watching and you want to ask any questions, we have it up on the screen. We'll do our best to answer them, and we'll go from there. All right. Guess. What do you guys think? Could you believe it when you saw it?
No. I mean, I was expecting, maybe a week or two, but I mean, how long is 30 days really when you're trapped inside a house?
It is a long time.
It is a long time. I don't think I've thought through all the ramifications yet of like, what can you do? What can't you do?
Well, apparently you can play lots of video games and watch Netflix if that's the thing you do.
A lot of Zoom meetings.
Yes.
That's the main word I've been hearing going around lately. Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, the stock has jumped up a decent chunk since they first announced all this. So I really want to hear what's going on with some businesses. This will be my first time in a while to do this. Let's see if this works. We're calling in Bo. He's commenting. So he's apparently around. Unemployment for service industry. Oh, we got you, Bo?
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Thou Mayest.
How's it going?
Thou Mayest be on our podcast.
We would love to hear all about your day. I hear you were down at J. Rieger today, helping set up a coffee booth while they made ridiculous amounts of hand sanitizer that you then they sold.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Everybody's in the pivot mode right now. I mean, everybody's being first and foremost, safe with the healthy social distancing. If you feel sick, stay at home. It's being taken very seriously. And I think you guys are positioned in a really good spot right now because you're talking about two of the most important things on people's minds, which is health first and foremost, but also money. And you kind of have to balance those two. And I think just trying to find where that line is going to be really important for us as a culture, and just as a discussion point, because there's so many people who feel the uncertainty and just the qualms of what's going to happen when I'm not able to make as much as I used to, and then what's the future look like? And I think it's kind of interesting because I mean this is what the stock market is kind of looking at every single day in our markets in general, is these sentiments and just these feelings that people have towards either being proactive or reactive, towards the markets. But meeting with these other business owners and talking about pivoting, I mean, we've obviously pivoted pretty quick to go curbside only from, after Monday, we'll be curbside only. Jay Rieger also went curbside. And then today it was actually just announced that you can actually get bottles and prepackaged cocktails curbside as well. Guys, that is nuts in the Kansas City booze world. Kansas City has a very stringent and very, I shouldn't say stringent, it's pretty open and it's pretty, and I think it's mostly just because we have so many titans of the distilling and the beer world located in St. Louis and in Kansas City.
Yeah, because St. Louis is shutting down too.
Yeah. But I mean, Anheuser-Busch is over there. So I'm just saying, like, this has been very interesting to see the liquor control, whether it's the alcohol, tobacco, firearms, the ATF, or regulated industries saying, hey, we're going to allow these businesses to continue commerce. And we're going to do something that we've never done before.
So is it kind of like
you can sell?
Do you feel like in Kansas City they're working with small businesses like they are at the national level when we have, I mean, because I don't think they just mean like they mean it when they say it. They've stripped down some of the red tape. They are speeding up a lot of processes. I mean, them saying, hey, you can use FaceTime to do doctor's visits is a really big deal. Like, I mean, that's HIPAA is a serious thing in that world. And so to say, hey, we're just not even going to do HIPAA, just get people care. Are you seeing Kansas City work with small businesses to help them survive just in a similar fashion or no?
I mean, I think that they are. I mean, it's weird for me to say, but that's just because I'm in a service industry. We produce food grade products. We're still in business. What happens to those nail salons? What happens to chiropractors? What happens to these other industries that are going to be really dramatically affected because they're going to say, absolutely not. Kansas City's not working with us. But for me, I'm like, they're doing the best that they can, given the craziness of this situation, and just kind of the intensity of it. I think they're doing the best job they can.
So not that any one of us probably feels comfortable giving a for sure answer, but yay or nay, 30-day shutdown seems appropriate to you, or we just, got thrown off a cliff and we're trying to, in the way what Reid Hoffman says, trying to build the plane as we fall.
Yeah, I think it's wise. I mean, obviously, like, you can't have commerce if you don't have the population to support that, and we need to be very cautious about the future of what we're dealing with here. This thing could get out of control, and we just need to be vigilant and make sure that we're being incredibly safe first and foremost, and then we're also trying to continue to support that local economy. And I think Kansas City, specifically Mayor Lucas, is doing a really good job of finding where that line is. I think they're doing a good job of easing people into that. That was a very hot bath to get into, and you kind of have to do it slowly. And I think that they are doing as quick and as urgent. And to your guys' point a little bit earlier, this is happening very quickly, and quicker than I thought. This would be Tuesday or Wednesday by the time that we would be able to be at this spot, but that is not the case.
Well, I appreciate it. We, if you have any questions, send them in on text. We'll be able to see them. Does anybody else have any questions for Bo?
Last thing, just a story about what Jay Rieger has done. It's unbelievable. Seeing them turn from a distillery into a sanitizer production facility.
Well, and they did it so
they're
fast.
continuing to.
Wow.
Oh gosh, it was like overnight. I mean, they're still brewing, or they're still distilling whiskey as well. I was talking to one of their distillers earlier today, and he was like, "Yeah, we've got a new batch coming on Monday." So they're continuing to possible. I think for most producers, they keep talking about these strong supply chains. I just think it's going to be these packaging companies this sucks environmentally just because we're going to have a lot of throwaway stuff for sanitation purposes. But
Yeah.
Getting plastics, getting containers, getting labels, getting caps, making sure that everything's wiped down, and sanitary. Those are going to be the important things for people. It's like we can keep up as long as the plastic company can get us our jugs and our bottles and our labels as quick as we can. Same thing for us with our coffee bags. Like we've just seen an explosion of home, coffee orders from our website, directly to people's homes, and making sure that we have enough inventory and enough coffee to be able to get us through this.
Yeah, I think that's the big mistake Kansas City didn't make. Pound of Thou Mayest and a whiskey and hand sanitizer was coming from Jay Rieger, and a bouquet from our Family Tree Nursery, who will be a next guest, to show up at your door to make you feel better. But I think Matt had a question for you, Bo, before you go.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? I know 30 days is a long time, especially in today, 2 days seems like a long time now, but what are you thinking after 30 days? Where are we? What? I mean, that's the thing. Because is it going to extend it?
It's getting fuzzy. Just clicks on us.
Is it going to extend? Is it? I mean, if you do, what do you do then? I mean, there's just a lot of questions for me. It's like, what then?
What's your biggest question? It got kind of muffled there. I couldn't quite hear the whole question.
Yeah. What happens after 30 days? Obviously, we don't know. But what if, there's option of what does getting back to normal look like? Do they lessen if it gets lessened after 30 days? That seems like the best.
Are you talking about from his perspective as working with the city or as a small business owner?
I guess both in many ways.
Yeah, but both is going to be important. I mean, you're going to have to see some sort of leniency. I don't know what that. Yeah, it's very. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
there's going to be a lot of I don't knows nowadays.
Yeah, I think the most important thing through all this isn't necessarily what to expect, other than I'm going to get up and do what I have right in front of me, and that's why this seems so 2 days seems like 2 months already. It's just action packed, because I'm just looking right in front of me, saying I'm trying to project in terms of what is coming our direction, but at the same time, if you get real into that, you can go into a kind of a dark space in your head where you just there is no hope, and that is not the reality. There is plenty of hope, and it's all about how you put that lens. I just made about this last night because it's so easy to lose hope, and you just have to keep that perspective and that lens polished and clean and clear, so you can have a clear mind when you're making these really, really tough decisions, specifically as business owners, but it's going to be larger than that, as a community and as a culture and as a nation. And this is I believe that this is a trickle up effect here. It started with the event, then it hit the service, and then I don't know who's going to hit next, but being one of the canaries in the coal mine, it's we've had to adjust, and we've seen what the impact of that already has for us. And I'm kind of looking at everybody else saying, hey, you should probably kind of look at us as an example for what's to come. It's going to be tough, and it's just, and be proactive. Don't give up. Don't just throw in the towel immediately. Try to fight as hard as you can and as safe as you can, ultimately. And then I think that is, as long as everybody can be safe while they're trying to be proactive, I think we'll be able to salvage, and we'll be able to rebuild, and be able to. It's going to be different, but it's not going to be the same. But I think there's a lot of hope in it. I think this is a good wake up call for a lot of us, and mostly me, to be more prepared in the future.
Love it. Thanks, Bo.
You're welcome.
Good luck to Thou Mayest. We will hope for the best.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
So what'd you think? Did you getting to hear from somebody who was one of the first to be hit? I mean, the industry of retail, coffee shops were just immediately feeling this before everybody else.
No, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, props to Bo for, kind of still fighting through and being agile with all this. Cause I've heard different people talking about, this company shut down for 2 weeks. This company already shut down. And now yeah, now there's this 30-day thing. I think that's the big question on my head. In my head is, I see that Jack actually messaged this. Will it only be 30 days? Beyond that, like if it goes beyond that, can we go beyond that? Can our economy, which economy sounds like it's just money, but obviously economy isn't just money. It's all of our life. I mean, that's how we live. And so,
Do you feel like how would you, so by the way, for those listening, my name's Jared, since I don't even think we even did introductions. This is It's Just Money Live. I have Masters of Personal Finance. We got Raul here. He's our creative graphic designer. If you love any of our graphics, they're coming from him, and film guy. And then we got Matt, who's a PhD in psychology, which is why I'm about to ask you, put you on the spot. What is the psychological effect, as best as you can process in such a short span, for people in Kansas City right now processing this complete unknown? I mean, we saw, well, if you watched the task force streaming at all, I've watched almost all of them. I missed a little bit of today, so I haven't caught up yet. But there's been a lot of hope, is what a lot of people keep saying, to have very little answers. Sometimes, I don't know, but what do you say to people who literally like, what on earth is going on? What is the psychological process that the best you can do from your own education?
Yeah, I think people deal with this in a few ways. One is, which is kind of like the way I do it, is I kind of like dive in. Like I try to gather as much information as possible. And because you kind of get the sense, it gives you a sense of control when you feel like you're gathering as much information, even though I have very little control about the spread of this besides washing my hands and social distancing, which apparently we're not doing enough of. But
put my wall. So
but then other people actually cope with it through. So that's how I cope with it. I think a lot of people do that, but other people cope with it using actually as much as possible. And I think I'm curious of people who tend to do that, which is a totally fine way to cope, because you just got to deal with your own life. When things like this happen, you can't ignore it anymore. If you go to the wrong place, you can get a fine and a misdemeanor. So to me,
a lot of people say that's why even Mayor Lucas, I get it right, I hope it's Quentin Lucas, I mean, pretty sure, is actually said there's anywhere from gyms to, I believe he said, massage places,
right?
Maybe he might have said barbers and hair salons. They're not closing.
Right.
People are still going in. So I think, which is, I don't know, a little upsetting to me, where it's like we're having to go to this more extreme factual place because people are ignoring it.
Right. But you get it, because that's how they make their living. Like if you own a barbershop, it's rough, and so, I mean, you get the incentive, but that's why they have to come out with the big stick, to force it.
30 days is enough time for everybody to come out like Robin Williams and Jumanji, like, with the barber shops and the salons closed and everything. It's just enough time for us all to maybe look bad and hopefully get ourselves together again.
For 2 days, it's open again before they shut it down again.
Like the biggest line after 30 days is the barbershop.
Yeah.
It's like, don't let anybody see me. My hair. So
that's not my problem.
Will it only be 30 days? Jack left us with that big question. What do you guys think? I mean, we just found out it's going to be 30 days. Almost everybody's like, well, that's twice as long as I expected. But
right. But just like you said, I think there are a lot of people who aren't taking as much caution as the world is suggesting we take. So I wonder if that's still going to be the case in the next 30 days, which might then have to carry on a little bit longer. Do you think? The rule breakers, the people who just want to live their life.
Yeah. I think, to me, that what's unclear is, how do we know when it's over? Like there's no, at least I haven't heard anything of, okay, when the infection rate hits this, because it's still climbing. In the task force,
they actually said
Okay, good.
So the actual task force, one of them
Mhm.
said when the curve is flattened and we go to the other side,
As in,
we
it's
can start scaling these things back. But as long as it's climbing, we'll keep doing more.
Okay, so they're trying to.
They
wanna see
literally want to
reduction,
see the opposite.
curve.
Yeah.
bending.
Which
Which
from
means
what I
less
understand from
infections.
other countries, and the math is we're going to be shut down for 90 days at that rate. I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean, because there's stuff coming out of China that they're saying, they have no more new infections, but then there's photos being smuggled out of people lined up outside of these clinics, of these fever clinics in Wuhan again. Like,
I
so you can't. So I mean,
yeah.
Right. I think like when the initial climb was happening, I don't think every incident, you
Oh, for
know?
sure.
Definitely not.
because of the testing and
Right.
lack of testing and
So,
ability to do that.
I mean, that could carry on for a while. I mean, they're not going to be 100% truthful because, the massive society can't take that. So whatever, they might just kind of lead us along a little bit. I feel like.
They're not going to be truthful because the communist government of China isn't truthful about anything. So
Sure.
that's just how they run things. So
Anti-communist over here.
Wow, way to make it political.
So no, but I mean, absolutely.
I'm-
There's no way those numbers have been coming out that are correct. There's no way there's no new infections. Like,
No.
it's fine if you lie, but everybody. So like, we're declining in infections. There's no new infections. You might as well just say we're lying.
Oh, for sure.
We're not going to tell you the truth. We're China. We're a communist nation.
Right.
So 90 days. I'm just trying to wrap my mind. I think somebody told me, I haven't made sure this is a fact yet. I heard it was but I know schools have closed all the way through May. We have some universities, I think, who can put December so that they could shift over researchers and stuff.
Okay.
That was the thing. I'm not going to even say the name of the place because I haven't fact checked that. But it's just, it doesn't seem like anybody else is looking at this. Even Trump has hinted at August. This could go as long as August. So then I'm like immediately like, so he means October, November, December, because they don't want to, like the fact he's hinting at August makes me think there's no way he's not talking about towards the end of the year.
Sure.
See, to me, it's like, I don't think the economy can continue like this for that long. Like, it's just not. Without a really, really heavy hand.
But even if there was a heavy hand, what could it possibly do?
Right.
It doesn't have bigger consequences on the other side.
Exactly.
How much suffering exists because we delay suffering? Like, and does it build? That's what I'm wondering. I said even on Thursday on our live episode, it's like, can we just decide like the healthy people, the millennials out there, go out and just work like 16-hour days and we don't pay them, but for like 4 hours a day, and then like tell us who we need to deliver food to, but let us like work, because it just. But then now they're changing the rates. I used to have that opinion, but it was like 5 to 10% hospitalization rate. But now I'm starting to read stuff that says maybe as much as 19%
of younger people.
Yeah, and I don't. If that's
one that
true,
said 30,
it kind of screws up my plan, because now, like back when it was 5%, it was like, fine, just put everybody in their homes and let us go out. 5% is never going to overwhelm our hospital system. We'll just work. But now it's starting to change, and they're starting to say much higher.
Things are so changing, so it's hard to. That's what makes this hard. Yeah. Do you want to pull up the next guest?
Yeah,
well, I did one psychology question earlier. Is that I think what this for all of us as individuals, what we'll have to be thinking about is how do we cope with strange and unusual times, like difficulties, and I think this will really stretch for many of us. What our coping strategies, using a psychological term, is like, how do we deal with difficulty? And especially in a semi-isolated sort of sense, we need to use that but continue to reach out to people, because one of the best ways to cope is through relationships, being able to talk and share. And so I'm hoping, like, it's encouraged me to reach out to people that, that I'm used to seeing places and family members I don't see very often. And so just encourage everyone to keep reaching out. This is a bonding moment for all of us who are going through this. Keep us psychologically healthy through this. But if you kind of turn inward in this, that's when, like Bo said, you can get to a dark place and hopelessness can creep in. So
do you suggest not just texting, but like video messaging and?
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. Some people, the texting, I'm not against that, but yeah, obviously phone, video, we have so many ways of doing it now, even group stuff.
YouTube Live.
That's I'm glad they're all there, but they're not real interacting with us.
Yeah.
Besides, you could message us, ask your questions.
Ask more questions so Matt
yeah.
feels better about this relationship. All right, let's bring in Family Tree Nursery here. I know that this has been, I'm sure, a big year for them. It was just got done expanding, and here we are. Hey. Well, we got Jonah here with Family Tree Nursery. Jonah, if you want to give kind of your title, tell us a little bit about what you do there, and would love to dive into just how you guys are looking at this. And I have no idea how this is your business, or if you fall under some sort of category where you'll continue. I know I saw on Instagram, congratulations, because I'm sure that was a scramble. You launched a curbside delivery or something like that. Tell us all about it, but first introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Jonah Nelson. I'm the store manager at Family Tree Nursery in Overland Park. And some people call me the flower boy. So, I like to sell flowers, but these days we're selling a lot more vegetables, as you can imagine why. So,
interesting.
Yeah, we did. We launched our curbside pickup this week. It's kind of a big deal. Haven't done it before. We've talked about doing it for a long time. But today was really the first day we announced it and it went live and had really good success with it. So
really, so people already started taking you up on that.
Pretty much instantly. We had a really great response, and we have kind of a comment section at the bottom, and everybody was very thankful that we were offering the service. So that was reassuring. That being said, we can't get items online fast enough with photography and verbiage and pricing and everything else. So this is going to take some time to build the whole thing out. But as everybody has been hit with the shock of this, it's been, a scramble.
Yeah. So do you feel like in this, given everybody, I mean, literally somebody today said like, just do yard work, like get outside, work on those projects. I mean, do you think there's a chance you can literally pivot enough that people are going to be able to and want to get out in their yard and then, need something to do that you guys can actually kind of meet an unforeseen demand in such a strange environment?
I hope, but I'm an optimist. So I hope, but I know that it's probably not a reality. I say all the time, it all started in the garden. And I think if more people got back to the garden and actually understood where they connect with nature, and to be honest with you, with connecting with everything. So I hope more people get into it, but at the same point in time, it's just it's not for everybody. And so we'll just have to see. Time will tell. The biggest issue that I see with at least our business, our industry, is it's a logistics problem. There's not enough delivery vehicles because, and this is the question also, is whether we'll be able to be open or not. That's a huge question mark. But the thing is we rely on our customers driving to our stores in order to pick up the product because there's so much product to deliver. I mean, it would be, I don't think it's possible to deliver all the product that we have in our stores to every household that would want it.
I think I actually know that there was somebody else mentioned to somebody recently that there was it's actually Bo, I believe, if I think correctly, there was a guy who got a bunch of vans and he's just hoping to keep his employees working. So you might connect there and you never know, have a great delivery system in place with somebody who's just trying to put people to work in his vans.
Yeah, I would love that, and we're definitely considering that. We just have to get kind of online and that whole process rolling of getting customers to interact with our product in a different way. We're a very a site-driven and physical environment. It's really hard. It has been hard to communicate our product through photos or through videos, but I've come up with some ideas and ways I think we can present our product in a way that people will be able to interpret it, which I hope. And I'm really hoping that with the proposed essential activities that we can fall under one of the essential activities. I've got kind of a draft already that I received from somebody in government, and I've got a draft of the document that's supposed to be finalized here in the next day or so. And I've already read through it, and there's a couple of categories in which I feel like we can fall under kind of an exempt business, and one of them would be a hardware store. Most people probably don't know, but we're actually a True Value store, so we're a member of a True Value buying group.
Yep.
So there's an exemption for hardware stores.
There you go.
There's also an exemption for, I'm trying to read it here, businesses that ship or deliver groceries, food, goods, or services directly to residences. And we already do deliveries, but we also sell a lot of potatoes that people can then plant in their yard or in their garden.
And you guys have the
grow
seeds.
Onions. What's that?
Don't you guys have seeds too? Like a decent amount of different seeds you can be buying?
Oh, yeah. Of garden seeds, but more than that, we sell a lot more garden actual transplants, the actual plants themselves, more than the seeds. The seeding process, some of those seeds should have already been started back in January to get them up and ready to grow for the season. But we have actual transplants of tomatoes, a lot of herbs, a lot of cool season vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. So people are thinking about generating their own food source for a short time. It's a really good time to get into it.
That does make a lot of sense. I actually was had mentioned as my dad, farmed. He said, I said, what would they do with all the greenhouses? He said, well, zucchini and squash grow. So get them going.
Squash and cucumbers, and people could produce a lot of food in their backyards. And actually, I heard it at one point. I heard that during the war, when victory gardens were a thing, that the American people growing victory gardens actually outproduced American farms. They were able to produce more than the American farms were producing just simply by American citizens starting their own victory gardens. So I believe that people could get into this and learn about it. I hope we're a resource for that to teach people how to do it. And like I said, I'm an optimist in all this, so I think that there is a huge amount of growth on an individual level, on societal level, that can happen through all of this. And it's going to be funky, but we're all in it together, and you kind of got to ride the wave.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to call Jonah more often just to feel better. Like Debbie Downer. Everything's crashing. Talk to Jonah. I'm like, I need to start gardening.
It's a good
I'm going to
coping mechanism.
improve myself in all of this.
Hey, part of your problem could be your lack of vitamin D. Getting outside, that's actually one of the things that people say batting some of these viral effects is vitamin D. Being outside is one of those. And I'm sure everybody knows this, but plants actually help purify the air. So plants in your home, plants outside, getting out in the sunshine, that vitamin D that you can absorb is, I think, going to be essential in what Matt would probably know a whole lot about, but mental health. It's a huge part of it. There's actually a whole section of our industry called horticulture therapy. And it's a really real thing, and people have a hard time explaining it sometimes or understanding it, but they feel it when they're in that environment and the sun is literally warming the top of your head, and you feel that thermal energy that you're receiving from the sun, and you're breathing in this fresh air. It ignites. I feel like it ignites, at least in my soul, a sense of healing, of happiness, of connectedness with nature. So I am a pretty positive guy, but the people, I think we're going to be able to supply that for folks.
So I feel like you're telling me that the blue light coming off my monitor isn't enough for my vitamin D consumption. I've been in front of my monitor a lot. Does anybody have a question for Jonah? Family Tree Nursery, small business in America.
I don't know if it's a question or not, but I wanted to touch on, is there an opportunity for people who are potentially losing jobs to become like a quick and fast delivery person, like for somebody who could use more deliveries?
I think most likely that's
I
going to
mean,
have
I
to be
love,
a third party. That's
Right.
where I think the third party apps have been coming up, but
Mhm.
I imagine there's a giant tangled web of legal reasons why they can't
Sure.
just advertise that.
yeah, that's I think some of the sticking points is this is just uncharted territory for at least our small business. So
Mhm.
we're going to hopefully fumble through it. I mean, we've always done delivery service, so we do have delivery drivers. But I just still feel like the best mode of getting our product in customers' hands is curbside,
Curbside. Yeah.
because I think people do want to get out. I think they do want to see it. And I've actually had an idea for a long time of doing a drive-through garden center. So I'm like,
There you
I've got a
go.
really good map already drawn out of our property and how we can kind of accomplish this, as long as it falls within the guidelines, hopefully, of an exempt business that's
Mhm.
an
It's
essential
drive-through.
business. And
And
I
hardware store.
yeah,
And you got food.
exactly.
And aren't a lot of your plants
I,
technically edible in a desperate times?
yeah, oh yeah, they're great. They're definitely edible. There's lots of them, and we sell, like I was saying, I mean, all the cool season vegetables. I'm planting my garden literally tomorrow of all my broccoli, cabbage, kale, collards, Swiss chard, lettuces, kale. I mean, all of that stuff is so healthy. And in the dirt, and being part of that sunshine, it's healing. I'll tell you that.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you got me
love that.
convinced. Actually, we have not done a garden at our house but we have, our kids are getting bigger, and so we were thinking about, hey, we're going to be home for 30 days. We might as well start it. So we might be coming. I guess we have 2 days to go buy
I
it.
love
So.
this idea of drive-through too. I could just see it through the parking lot. It looks like we've
Mhm.
jumped up a bit here, and people. Just a quick introduction. Again, I'm Jared. This is It's Just Money Live. We got Raul and Matt here.
Mhm.
We're talking to Jonah from Family Tree Nursery here in Kansas City about how their company is going to pivot and kind of survive in this new economy that we are really heading into for a while.
Mhm.
Jonah, I really appreciate it. I am
Yep.
so looking forward to seeing your announcement for a drive-through, because I can only begin to dream how cool whatever it is you would design would be, because I've seen your guys' Christmas create. So it would probably become an experiential retail extravaganza at that point. I mean, people would just be lining up.
Extravaganza.
Oh, it'd be
Nice.
so cool. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that could be a problem with people lining up. So
Well, as long
you
as they
guys
stay in their
probably
cars, that's social
yeah,
distancing. You would be
stay in the
good.
car.
Hand
Hey, well, you guys
sanitizer
aren't
from Jay
practicing very well
Rieger
right now.
as they come through, clean everybody's hands, swipe those cards. All right.
Right.
Thanks, Jonah.
Thanks, Jonah.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye. Well, that was definitely a new take.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much more positive I feel. I mean, not that Bo didn't also build some positivity,
Mhm.
but he still gets to serve. He can do curbside. It's like, yeah, of course, he's takeout. They literally have an exemption for him. But like to see somebody in some other area take it again to that pivoting of creativity.
So positive. I was instinctively like rejecting it at first, and then I had to just
Just
open-
caved
Your
in.
rebellious
Yeah.
nature.
He's sucking me in. So I'd love more questions out there if anybody else has any. We got at least 20 people watching right now. So let's get some like 18 more thumbs up going. See if we get YouTube to start spreading the word. Watch 18 thumbs down. I just, oops. So I know we were talking about bringing on Bay Boy specialty sandwiches, but before then, does anybody have any comments about the legal side of this? I did see a question pop up, something about SBA loans as it was cycling through.
Mhm.
I know that right now, so Kansas just announced, if you didn't know, and this affects you, hospitality industry, they announced, I think it was $5 million in interest-free loans. So with a maximum $20,000 per business, you can apply. And then it kind of asks you questions like, what's your gross revenue of last year? How many employees do you have? How many will this help you keep? And so you can kind of go through and fill it out. And so it's no payment for 4 months and then maybe longer. And then they will also, it'll be interest free. And I think it was a 3-year term or something. So a place like Bay Boy, Thou Mayest could apply for sure. Well, hey, there you go. I'll make sure I tell Julian from Bay Boy. And so, it's just a great way to keep people from having to go to unemployment when we know this is temporary, because unemployment is going to be so overwhelmed. I mean, they're out there saying like, we could be as many as 1 million. I'm like, if we're not 2 million, I'll be shocked this next week. And I'll be shocked.
Right. At this rate. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so I'm just assuming it's going to be even higher. Anything else like that? I mean, anything positive like that? I know on the SBA loan side, there was a list of a lot of states. I was researching this today, of course. And so but Kansas was not there. Neither was Missouri. But they have a SBA loan.
SBA meaning?
Small Business Association Act.
Something.
No. SBA loan. There was a small business SBA disaster, some sort of fund around the COVID-19 though. So a lot of states, I know Tennessee was already in there. So if you're out there and you need something, those will be great sources for you to get some really good terms. And they don't, I think, require personal guarantees. And it'll just probably be pretty flexible. But I know the one in Kansas, that was a new thing that got announced today. And it's awesome.
That's awesome. It's a small business. I just blanked it.
You just looked.
Administration.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah,
Association,
it's
Academy,
it's a
Small Business America. All right. So let's see. Any other questions? I hadn't missed any much. Looks like we're good. Appreciate the broadcast. Hey, we appreciate you. Appreciate the broadcast.
What do you think about? Do we have any other guests to call? Should we call Jack?
We were going to call in Bay Boy.
Okay.
I want to know what it's like for guys that have pivoted to takeout only. Are they selling more, selling less? Are they enough to stay alive? What is happening? We'll see if he answers. I told him we'd call, but that was a long time ago.
I told him that to keep him watching.
Yeah. This is why we have at least 2 viewers. People who are waiting for me to call.
Hello.
Hello, Bay Boy.
What's up?
Hello, Mr. Bay Boy. Please introduce yourself. You are live on It's Just Money Live right now, and we would love to talk about your business.
Oh, sure. Why not? I'm Julian Garcia. I'm one of the where sandwiches are our specialty.
Isn't there another tagline?
I just made it up.
No, but there's one that I've read. I've definitely read a couple times. It's sometimes.
Which one?
What is it? Put it in your mouth.
We're really counting on these sandwiches.
Wow.
I mean, I am counting on these sandwiches.
Yes.
So
Each
Especially
one.
now.
that's a real thing.
So seriously though, I don't know if you were listening earlier. There is a cool SBA loan, not SBA loan. Kansas just put out, by the way, a loan. You can literally get on tonight and apply, which I would advise because I'm sure it will empty out, and then you won't have the opportunity. But basically, you can jump on and apply. There's up to $20,000 interest free, and no payment for at least 4 months, and then it's like over 3-year term. It's for the qualify as long as they don't run out of funds. So I'll send you the link even when I get off, actually. So what's going on for you as a business? Are you guys, I saw the other day, I was like, man, I should go down to Bay Boy and support them. And I was getting ready to head down. I even talked to somebody else who was like, yeah, I'm going to go down to Bay Boy. And I pulled up, you just popped up on my Instagram and you said sold out. Thanks for the support. We didn't even, we were afraid we wouldn't sell enough sandwiches today to get by. And instead we're out of sandwiches. I don't, how's it going? Is this just a repetitive thing or is that just one day?
So, no, it is not actually just that one day. This week, the neighborhood has been and other people have been extremely supportive, and we've actually been
It's awesome.
been pretty busy. I mean, still people still eat, so
Yeah.
um,
Like the cult following that exists, or is this just, well, Bay Boy's that good? Nothing can stop the Bay
know
Boy.
if Bay Boy's that good. I mean, I love the sandwiches. I think everyone's focused on supporting local, so, and we're obviously local, so I think that helps. I mean, it does help that our reviews are decent. We're not terrible in that realm.
You're so modest.
And I'm sorry?
I said, you're so modest. I literally, I don't think I've ever told, I don't talk about food. I have actually, one of my good friends gets mad at me because I say that if I could just take capsules for food and for all my caloric intake, and I didn't have to eat, I could skip eating, I would do it. And he gets mad because he's a foodie. But I said, well, the exception is Bay Boy sandwiches. Naturally, I can't eliminate Bay Boy sandwiches from my diet. And yours are amazing.
That would,
So you're actually finding that you've pivoted to takeout only and or delivery, but you're actually, you're looking at this 30-day shutdown, and is this going to make it worse, or you think, no, I'm feeling the love and support, and this is going to keep going?
Well, it's been, we're kind of lucky, very fortunate that we're in a neighborhood. So everyone's at home and everyone kind of knows us. We've been around for a while. And, I've worked in that neighborhood 8+ years now. So, they know my face at least.
Yeah.
So, and it was really easy for us to transition into just takeout and delivery since we're kind of primarily doing that already. So dine-in hasn't really affected us. And then, of course, there's still, a lot of friends like you guys and family that, live in town. So they've been coming out this week. So, but yeah, this 30-day shutdown, I don't know what's going to happen, but, we're still going to keep serving as long as we're able.
Okay. Awesome.
One of the best things that I heard was to buy gift cards. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody would appreciate that right now.
Yeah. Are they available online?
Yeah. Yeah, they're available online. It should be up on our website, bayboykc.com. Jake put it up there the other day. And a lot of people have been buying online gift cards or coming into the shop and buying gift cards, which we do really appreciate. And yeah.
It is kind of great. The more people we talk to, the better I'm feeling. I'm over here, the economy's going to stop. And it's like, well, maybe it won't.
See, that's the human contact. But once you are isolated in your home, then it'll start again.
Yeah, Raul.
With my monitor grow light.
Twitter just glowing at you.
Well, anybody had any other questions for Julian here?
No, good.
I love it. Julian, thanks for sharing kind of what's going on for the small business takeout delivery sandwiches here in town. I hope everybody else has similar stories right now.
It's going to be...
Yeah, for sure. No problem.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll talk to you later. And I'll send you that link.
All right. Thank you.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be only way families or people can get out of their houses is either going out and picking up food from someplace or going to a park, or unless you have to go to the doctor or a
grocery store.
I mean, so
hardware store.
So actually, for
the hardware stores are gonna be like, why are so many people here? They have nowhere else to go. They're just loitering around looking
6 feet apart.
This is a cool hammer. Broomsticks, just
keeping people apart. So, because getting out will be good for the soul as well.
Is the car the new safety bubble? How does this affect access to your bubble? I do think the car is the new safety bubble.
Oh, like the personal space bubble?
Yeah.
Well, here in the Midwest, at least from my experience, we have a pretty big bubble, personal space bubble, compared to other parts of the country.
I know mine's large. I mean, it's hard for me to sit this close. I'm surrounded.
If it wasn't for the camera angle, we'd be on the other side of the room, apparently.
Oh, that is kind of a weird gap here. It's like,
yeah, why are you
I have a big bubble.
or suspected corona.
Someone traveled to Colorado in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh, but that was before. It was pretty early.
Oh my gosh, that was early. It was
That was
happening
early.
while I was there. Come on.
Yeah. That
Just
definitely. I mean, it did though.
spreading.
That's crazy, right? Is you hear something like somebody's like, yeah, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. You're going to Colorado. It's okay to go to Colorado. But then it's like 5 days later, and you're like, I can't believe you went to Colorado. You terrible person. It's like amazing how fast that's gone. I've talked to somebody on like a Monday, and they're like, this is proportion. Yeah. On Tuesday, they're like, I cannot believe nobody's taking this serious. Like this is so serious. It's like in all of our minds. And I don't know, you could actually maybe speak to this because it's so serious. Cause I've done it too. I was talking with somebody the other day and I'm like talking about how long ago I was talking about something and I realized it was the day before.
Oh, right.
Is there something in our brains that like when it's this serious and like this so much new stuff's happening that like that we actually, it seems
Because
is there something going on here?
I mean,
yeah.
does it exist?
Well, that's a philosophical question, not a psychological question.
Well, don't you have a bachelor's in philosophy?
I do.
Well, then hit us up.
Well,
Let's start with the psychology side, though. PhD.
so assuming that time exists.
Okay.
But I mean, we don't. I mean, it's kind of like a fish assuming water exists. So I think it's fairly safe.
He wins the I like how he just okay. We'll jump to philosophical real quick. I win. We're going to go back to psychology. I think he just won. You win. It's real.
But the way our brains work with memories, right? Our brains don't work like cameras. We don't just record things. They're bound up in these neural networks that have, visual stimulus, olfactory, so smells, sounds, and then emotions. And whenever you access a memory, it's pliable. So you have a capacity to change the emotional meaning, or it's particularly pliable for kids. That's why kids are bad witnesses in courts, because it's easy to manipulate a kid's memory. But adults, it's also fairly easy to manipulate memory as well. And so, but what really impacts memory is emotion. And so since there's such an emotion of uncertainty, which increases anxiety, so that we're not used to experiencing all this anxiety and emotion in such a short period of time and this much change in a short. Brain is constantly trying to normalize it. Like, how do I get to a sense of normal? So that's why it feels like such a long distance, because that's what we're used to. We're used to spreading out those emotional experiences further. So I think our brains are just kind of like spreading it out in our reflection of it.
So this is where the term kind of like, there's a term, right? They always say something and normalize. I've heard it said multiple times, but people use the word normalize when they say it. They kind of put them together like, you got to normalize this scenario. So that's healthy. Mm-hmm. Is it healthy for us to be trying to do that, or normalizing it is us right?
No, I mean, I think you have to normalize it. I mean, we're all in this strange period where history is compressed, is one way I've heard it said, like where things are changing so rapidly and the world we knew a month ago does not exist anymore. And we I think Bo, I don't remember if it was Bo or Jonah who said it, the new normal, the new world won't be the same. And so we're all collectively trying to figure out how to adapt emotionally to this new world. But that new world has not yet come. We don't know what the new world is.
Yeah.
And so it is a time of great uncertainty. But I think what we experienced on this podcast, talking to our three guests, is that in human relationship and connecting with real people, that is really soothing emotionally. Like that's a great way to cope, and that we're in this together, because the worst way to cope is in isolation. Like, I mean, that's what depression is so difficult, is because it tends to isolate you. Mm-hmm. And it's but if that's the kind of the unique, the silver lining of this experience is that we're all experiencing this together. So you don't have to feel isolated about how difficult this is, because everyone's like, this is crazy. So that's actually a benefit, is that we're all in it together.
it makes me think of, I was talking actually, so Thursday when doing It's Just Money Live with Jack, we talked about how, thank you, Bo, minimize and normalize. That's like, it's not, we need to normalize this. We need to minimize it and normalize it so we can process it and not make it this huge thing.
Okay.
So
it seems maybe business one, but I wouldn't say that in
a psychology,
counseling.
minimize your pain and check. So words that work, we're going to get rid of minimize and figure out what to put in front of it.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we are trying to connect with anybody in our home, and we're just still interacting with technology, and that's not completely healthy for us. So is there a way to kind of like minimize, or is there best case situations for technology? I mean, like, I know things of like, don't have a TV in your bedroom because stuff like, do you have any advice?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great one. Don't have a TV in your bedroom because TVs tend to limit relational interaction. And so if you're in there and the blue light and the light stimulus isn't good for sleep anyway, so it's bad sleep hygiene. Which if you're going to be at home for 30 days, you might as well get good sleep because Americans, we tend to not get good sleep. So,
well, and that's one of the best advice they're giving us is focus on keeping your immune system up.
Yeah, vitamin
wash
D,
your hands, vitamin D,
well.
exercise. This is just going to help you not get sick.
Right. So don't over binge watch Netflix, but using technology to relationally connect, I think that is, I mean, don't limit. I wouldn't necessarily be worried about limiting that. I mean, I think using that is people who are in your household for you to have that relational connection. But I would also say for those of us who have families at home, like use this time to really build memories with your kids, with your, spouse. Like, if we're going to be home a lot together, like it's a time to really kind of work on the home, like work on the family relationships. Like, hey, you kind of got to work through stuff when you got to be around each other 24/7, instead of being busy all the time that like a lot of us tend to be.
So quick side note, Adam, if you're still out there, you definitely need to try Bay Boy. It is so good. Favorite sandwich that blew my mind. You might not think you want to try the Bandit. It has like jam and horseradish. It basically has everything I would never put on a sandwich. And it's so good. The last time I was there, I ordered it and the El Jefe. And then they split them both in half. And then I ate half of each that night and half the next night. And I think I got the Reuben to go. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Was that good emotional coping for you? Is that what you're saying?
It was fantastic physical coping. Emotionally, probably mentally, everything, honestly. Episode, he talked about how basically in 3 days we set 2 records, both going up in the market and going down.
2 going down, 1 going up.
Yeah. So you just talking about all the emotions and compressing everything. And so you're like, we're experiencing so much life in such a compressed. I mean, it made me realize like, yeah, it is exactly how it feels. Like I have never seen my bank accounts change so fast. The money that I have in the market, it's just like, whoa. That's a very emotional thing.
For sure.
And that probably has a lot to do with what Jack was saying. Like people need to take a step back, even though everything's moving so fast, not to step back and get a breather and kind of almost talk to people and process this, because the last thing you want to do is kind of emotionally be running with this, with your money and pulling in and out or something crazy like that in the market right now.
Right. Because I mean, that's the best way to deal with the emotion tied to the memory is. And so if you talk about it, I mean, we're all going to be, even after this ends, most of us are going to be telling stories. Back during the coronavirus stuff, like telling stories. But the reason we do that is that's how we heal the emotional connections we made to those memories. So those memories may have been traumatic. You lost your job. This person got sick, or God forbid this person in your family died or something. But how you cope with that is through the conversations, because you access the memory. And when you access the memory, the neural network, the actual neurons connected to the emotions can change if you don't access the memory. And so like the saying time heals all wounds is not true. Like you actually have to
access
the
nurse,
memory,
which is why they also say you can't just suppress something
Mm-mm.
and it will only
doesn't
get
go-
worse. It builds up, or
Mhm.
it will show back up, or it will just at least not go away. I don't know.
Or it'll manifest in physical stuff or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
That's what they
vanish.
mean when they say, like, because sometimes people get physical pain.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So
The body's got to cope with that anxiety somehow.
So that reminds me, because Matt and I have known each other for a while, but you gave me advice once that said you got to find your new normal after going through my own traumatic experiences. That's
Right.
kind of the same concept here.
Yeah, we're all
people
going
are going to
through that.
have to now find their new normal
Mhm.
because a whole new thing has been introduced to us that can happen.
Mhm. Exactly.
Because they're saying that this is like, we had SARS, MERS, like this is only predicted to happen more often. And, it used to be a once 100 years or 50 years thing. And now it could be once a decade even, where we experience something like
Yeah,
this.
I
So
mean,
that's a new normal.
Right. Well, yeah. And it's a big question of, one level, these sort of big outbreaks and stops the economy can't deal with this.
Yeah.
To stop these from happening.
Yeah,
There was a question
good
in
question
there.
there from David.
Yeah. Actually, there was another question about sleep apps for good sleep hygiene. There's probably apps that can list out that you can Google sleep hygiene tips are everywhere. But apps that I really like for relaxing, because usually sleep you can't have a hard time sleeping because of anxiety or your brain's racing, is Calm. Calm is a really great app that kind of guides you through mindfulness, meditation, to calm yourself down. They have sleep ones, so that actually the app will turn itself off. If you want more of like a really good as well. So those are two kind of unpaid plugs in light of the question that was asked that I think those are two great apps.
We can bleep them out.
Yeah. It's a tough time though. You could also send us some money. I actually use Relax Melodies. It has a ton of free content for noisemakers.
Oh yeah.
And then you can pay
sound
for
machine.
stuff too, but then they actually have some meditations.
Oh, they
And
have
one night
meditations
I
too?
actually did it at like 2:30 in the morning. Who knows why, but I woke up and I was wired.
Right.
I mean, just wired. And I was just so alert. And then all of a sudden I think I had a big day, which is probably why I was awake. And so then all of a sudden I was really upset, getting more amped up. And I actually did one of their like walk through. It tells you when to deep breathe out. And I could not believe how effective it was.
Nice.
And then before I knew it, I did have to switch rooms, somehow that helps me. I'll go to a different room and get into
Different
a different bed.
Mm.
And somehow that helps a lot. And then I did that.
That's
and
a
I
sleep
fell
hygiene
asleep.
thing. They actually say if you have trouble sleeping, don't do anything else in your bed besides sleeping.
Yeah,
And
I was getting ready to say, like,
Mhm.
don't get on your phone right before you're sleeping. Or,
Right. Even like reading or watching TV or chatting with your significant other, like
even reading, even chatting.
yeah, like if you
have trouble
if you have
with
really
sleep.
hard time, a lot of people can do those sort of things, to create the mental association with your bed with sleep. But if you get anxious, you start creating the association with your bed with anxiety.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why they tell you actually to get up, move rooms, do something else.
I didn't know I was doing what they say to do. I just did it. And that
Intuitively
room is
figured it out.
the sleep room for sure. It's the one you go to. So I wonder if that's why my wife cannot go to sleep now without Audible. But she started doing it, and then now she can't get away from it.
Right.
She can just start playing books back in her head to fall asleep, like counting sheep.
Yeah, I guess. She doesn't make it. She can't fall asleep, but if she puts that on, she's asleep in 5 seconds. So I don't understand how it works. It's like, what?
She's made a mental association with it. So her brain starts the whole process.
So I really only answer it if we get one more thumbs up. I think it'll work. Can we bribe people? I'm not doing it. I'm going to hold off. If you want to know if now's a good time to get in the market, I'll jump to 6 thumbs.
Oh!
I'm going to start bribing. All right. So I'm going to take a little bit of a rip from Jack on It's Just Money Live Thursday. Is it a good time to be in the market? Well, one of his really good pieces of advice he gave was if you look at the market and what it's doing, did we somehow just go to 5 again?
We did.
Did somebody unthumb
Oh,
I was like,
I bet that's Julian.
unthumbed up. Bay Boy's terrible. Don't eat their sandwiches. Just kidding. They're so amazing. So what he said was, if you can't handle the volatility and it going up and down and the craziness of it, that just ruins you. Like you're better off not being in it. Save it up, find something else, property. There's other investments. As far as the market and where it's at, is it a great time? That's a really interesting question, because up until recently, I've been debating with people on that topic about whether now is a good time to start dollar cost averaging in. And so briefly, dollar cost averaging in is basically saying like, hey, if I was going to dollar cost say $1,000 into the market, then I would just say, I'm going to buy every Wednesday at 2 p.m. I'm going to buy $100 of the market, an ETF of, the United States market, whatever it is you want to buy, a single stock. And then every Wednesday at 2 p.m., no matter what the price is, you buy it for 10 weeks. And then that's dollar cost averaging in, because we're so bad at predicting the future. And we're so bad at predicting the market. And so much research has been done that people who try to time it perfectly or day trade actually underperform those who have a slower, more strategic approach to it. And strategic can just be as simple as dollar cost averaging. So if you said, hey, if I started dollar cost averaging today, is that a good thing? Volatility actually doesn't matter. That's why you dollar cost average, because you buy in on one Wednesday and it's down 10%. The next it's up 5. The next it's down 10. The next it's up 20. You just keep buying in at that same time. Now, if it dropped 10% on Monday or Tuesday, would I maybe speed up my dollar cost average? Maybe. But in theory, as a practice, you wouldn't. You would just stick with it, because it might drop 10% 3 days in a row, which is unheard of. And I don't think has ever happened in all of a day where it dropped 20%.
Right.
And so that's the idea. So if you said, is now a great time? It's hard to attribute the word great just because nobody knows what's happening. But it is safe to say the market is down 35-ish%. And I was looking at a stat today that showed that in most bear market downturns where the market drops around 35%, within the next 10 years, you saw an average of 110% return. But it makes you realize how big of a long-term perspective you have to have.
Right.
So if you're trying to jump in the market and then get out of the market sometime here in the next 2 or 3 months, yeah, the volatility is a terrible time to jump in the market. But if you're asking, hey, should I start investing in the market? I'm in it for the long run. I'm looking for my 10-year return, and you started dollar cost averaging today, would I be able to tell you that that's a bad thing? No. I don't think anybody would say and feel comfortable that it's a bad thing. It feels more real right now because we're in Kansas City and it's just happened.
Right.
So all of a sudden we're like, market doesn't care about Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, the market. So somebody else pointed this out to me because I was like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen to the market? And I called a good friend and he said, well, to be honest, I don't think the market's going to change at all on Monday. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is crazy. And they're like, I don't think it matters if we're shut down for 90 days. Like the market already priced in and knows that New York shut down and California shut down.
Right.
And if you don't know, California is the equivalent. The GDP of California alone is the 5th largest country in the world.
Yeah, it would make it the 5th largest economy.
Yeah, and Texas is like pretty close to that too. So it's like one of the largest economies in the world. It's one of our 50 states. So the market's already priced in knowing it shut down in New York, which is our central financial district. So he kind of made me realize that this is just the first time. Now, this is why the market's gone down 35%. But in these other places that don't feel real to me,
right,
they already got shut down. So
Interesting.
I think if I didn't answer it good enough or to your liking, I guess if you give me another thumbs up, I'll keep going. But you need to ask. So somebody throw up something in the chat if you want me to expound on that more. But other than that, and he does a good job talking about it. What do you guys think? Any other questions that you guys have thought of? Or we kind of,
I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to
aren't all of
process.
us. That's
Yeah.
actually the thing that is crazy about this. This actually was from my conversation with Jack. I mean, I apparently have to call him every 5 hours since something new happens that's massive. It's just crazy. But he said it was the first time he realized this was today. Was like, this is probably the first time in history where we all are kind of up to date at the same time. Like the president and his entire task force is coming out and telling us everything they learned every day.
Mm.
And there's just always been the kind of the insider trading stuff that has always existed. But like right now that like hardly exists. Like everything is coming out so fast and happening so quick that like almost everybody's up to date all the time if you're digesting everything that's coming out, which is a great question we got here from Bo about where to get your information. So, but right, isn't that crazy? And it was the first time I realized, I'm like, you're right. This is why it feels so uncomfortable. I don't feel like there's some other person back there controlling all this. Where I always feel like there's always the guy behind the curtain,
The wizard.
yeah, with the U.S. economy, like the rich oligarchy up there who like know what's going on, and they already all know. But we had, was it Dalio? He's a hedge fund guy, huge hedge fund guy, has a lot of money, and he came out and apologized and said, we should have made money, not lost money. I'm sorry. This is, he manages probably billions, I would assume. But he just said, we've just never seen or experienced anything like this, and we had no idea how to react. But in a time where there's this much volatility and the market takes this big of a tank, we should have made money. This is our job, and just apologize, which I was like, I like you at least. Yeah. So, as far as, couple came up there. Where did I lose it? Best information, whitehouse.gov is fantastic. They have a coronavirus link. You can follow the WHO on Twitter, their World Health Organization. But those are the places I've found. I jump on and watch the coronavirus task force present every day on YouTube Live, actually. And,
multiple channels stream it live.
Yeah, NBC does. I watched it on
right
at whitehouse.gov ones. Anything you guys have been following to get your news? I follow the chat thread between these two guys because we kick each other a lot of information.
I'm kind of like spreading what I find on local news.
When a lot of people are sending me great stuff now, like I'm getting pinged now.
I mean, when you think about it, like the local part is really the part we need to be paying attention to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we need to be more local with our news stuff. So,
this is a question straight at you. There's actually a question up there for you. Where do you get your info from? It's a wild media world out there full of misinformation. He said, she said. How does Raul cut through this clutter?
Raul,
How are you choosing to cut through this? How are you not getting pulled into it? You do tend to usually be the up to date person, especially culturally too.
I think the key is I'm skeptical about everything. I mean, I listen to a source, but if I don't know, I just
how do you validate it though?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, if they have like logos attached to it,
this must be legit.
No, that is a good question. I mean, for something like this though, you just have to take it in strides. It's a matter of, we're all trying to figure it out, like everybody said. But I mean, some things sound so ridiculous that when you do process it, you're like, wait. I mean, this can't be true, right? I mean, maybe there are people that can't process like that, or.
Well, and recently I've had a few of those where I thought that this can't be true, but it was.
It was true
because so many unreal things are going on right now.
Right. And the weird thing about not freaking out. Me and my wife weren't freaking out with the groceries and the toilet paper. And we're like, we're just going to be reasonable people. We're all living through this. We're not the crazy ones. And then when we actually go to the grocery store, like everything's sold out, and we're like, maybe we should have freaked out. I don't know.
It's just strange.
You were right. You did it the right way.
You did the right thing, but you still don't have toilet paper. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I walked up to buy some, and they were just putting it on the shelf. And I start to reach, and he's like, "You can only take 2." And I was like, "Do I have to? I only need 1." Like they're just packs of 4. I'm like, it'll be here in like 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure when I need it again. I know that this has been going crazy, but I'm good. I just need 1. He's like thinking something. I was like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Luckily, I wasn't in that situation.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I answered the question. I mean, it's there are things that I've heard that are misinformation, and I check multiple sources before I even say something to somebody.
This is what we do on Saturday nights. Yeah, if you get a thumbs up, if we get to 12 thumbs up, we will do this another Saturday.
You know what though? There was so much misinformation about what cures the coronavirus.
Oh yeah.
Just
that was so bad.
Don't listen to any of that. Just go to the official, CDC website.
But historically, we've all not trusted the government.
That is true.
It's quite literally Trump.
Right. So,
I'm not saying anything political, except I am.
He was saying things.
He said a lot of things over a lot of things over the years where you just kind of like take everything. That's true.
To be fair,
right. So
it just depends on what.
That's true. You're right. I didn't ever trust them. So it's kind of hard to all this, but I actually really love what they've been doing right now. It's like the first time I've ever watching the task force come out and the amount of different people, and they'll kind of contradict each other. And sometimes people get mad.
Mm-hmm.
I see afterwards, like, get your story straight. I'm like, no,
be honest.
Don't go get your story straight. Have differing opinions amongst your cabinet and these really smart people. Nothing makes me more uncomfortable than when 12 people get on stage and have the same story.
That's a good point. You can tell it's shady or thought.
They look at the other guys, answer a question. No, it is not. They're like clearly looking for direction. It's like, no, this has been really good. I loved it. I've actually come to trust these people, which is a strange thing for me to feel.
Technically, we are.
Okay, so there's one up there on stocks real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I said if you asked again, I would go back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, the question is, what about stocks from companies having issues related to this, like cruise lines, restaurants? Do you see that as a potential faster return once it all ends? So I did initially. I was very excited. That's actually why I first started getting ready to jump in. The problem is we don't know how long this is going to go. And so now it's really important more than ever that if you've ever heard the additive, that's not the right word. What's the right word?
I can't think of it now.
Words.
Anyways,
if you've ever heard the word that the phrase where basically cash is king. And if companies run out of money, they go bankrupt. So if you buy into that company and that company runs out of money, then they go bankrupt. You now lost your investment.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the airlines and cruise lines have tanked as much as they have. The adage. Thank you. And they have tanked because people are afraid about their balance sheet. So we have had some serious over leveraged businesses recently, and that's what they mean. And they keep talking about with the stock buybacks, why people are getting mad at companies. So many of them have been canceled and people don't know that. But when a company does a buyback, they're taking all the cash on their balance sheet, on their all the money in their bank accounts, and they're buying their own stock, which bumps up their own stock price. And they're basically artificially affecting their own company's pricing, which might even affect how much bonuses they get. Who knows why they're doing it? I won't speak to that just because I really don't understand all of that. But the most important thing is now they don't have money in their accounts. And so they're not prepared for a disaster.
And their stock has lost tremendous value.
And then all of a sudden their stock's losing tremendous amounts of value. There is a disaster. Nobody's going on cruises because you're not even allowed to anymore. And so all of a sudden what happens is you did this stock buyback you just got all of your money into it. You can't get that money back out because nobody wants to buy your stock because you have a bad balance sheet. So be very careful. If this gets drawn out, then those companies are dropping for a reason. And so unless you're going gutsy and you're kind of just going, well, I'm hoping to catch, because as I'm sure you've seen, if you're asking this question, some of them have dropped 40% and then gone up 25% and then dropped 15% and then gone up 30% and dropped 20%. You're trying to like catch one of those waves, which is very risky. I'm not as excited as I was about those industries. And I have started to look a lot more at companies that have very strong technical analysis. And I'm not great at that, which is why I've started reaching out to other people for help at this point, because it's kind of started to exceed my ability to feel comfortable. Just because for the most part, I specialize in small business and we're dealing with very large companies. But I'm getting in a quicker return. I actually would, the more aggressive side of me would say things like you're going to have a quicker bounce back typically in small caps. So that's like the Russell 2000. So you can buy an ETF, which has low fees, in the smaller companies, which are more agile. And so they will tend to kind of come back faster, but they were also more risky. They dropped harder and faster than all the others. So that's kind of a safer way to kind of pursue that. But yeah, if you listen to our other episodes, Jack will give a lot of his opinions as our financial advisor who comes on as a guest a lot.
I mean, we've gone on for a while now.
Yeah, we got people hanging in there.
We should live stream for 30 days straight.
30 days straight.
We'll give you all the news updates.
Bring my barber in to cut my hair as we're going. Yeah, no, surprisingly fast hour and 22 minutes. And I really appreciate everybody joining us and you guys for getting over here to do it on such short notice. We
thank
will
you, everybody.
Look to drop one of our regular episodes on Monday. And I'm sure we'll be doing more last minute or
not in person probably, but
that's true. We'll probably do some more streaming. I love it. Yes, we agree. All right. Enjoy your night, everybody. We'll talk to you later.